Test. Okay, this one is done, and here as well. So let's start with the live stream. All right, today I'm gonna work on async Rust service for Magento and any other actual application in any language that doesn't support asynchronous MySQL clients. So let's see, where is my stream manager? Okay, great. Everything is open. Everything's fine. Okay, so let's switch to the code base. And let's see how it goes. So I did some modifications here in the process command functionality here. It's a synchronous function that receives a command as an argument and a state, and then in the end it processes a command and modifies the state to a specific command. So state can hold an open connection, a currently pending to be received result, or it can also just receive connection state without anything like known or closed. And in this case, in these both cases, it actually connects to my SQL server. Those are already covered by tests and running quite well. So let's actually quickly run what we already have here. Can we do a run of all the MySQL tests? I think, yeah. Okay, great. So all tests are passing. Seems good. So let me minimize this window and that window. Okay, great. And let's see how it goes from here. Okay. Also, let me open notification settings and let's... okay, I can't disable them. That's great. Okay. Pity there is no way to disable it on Manjaro. Okay, never mind. Let's do continue implementation of stuff in this library. So right now it prepares a statement. However, I need now to make it possible to execute a single command statement, let's say, or just a regular query maybe. Probably I'll start with a regular query, yeah. Let's do it that way, and let's start with a new test case. So let's reduce here, let's create an after run. Here, let's do async test, and what it will do, basically it will I think I need to disable it because, yeah, it doesn't work well with compiled languages. Let's grab some coffee. So we do have some functions already here that does a behavior. So now we're gonna write another one that's gonna it executes a command statement. Okay. And let's also actually create a new table here, I think. Yes, I just wanna create some table for testing. Some regular data. Like, or maybe I can just run a truncate, right? And then I can execute as well some cleanup afterwards. Okay, so let's do that. Let's create a table, and I'll call this table some sequence. It's gonna have sequence ID int unsigned, not null, to increment definitely, and that's probably it, right? I don't care about anything else here, and the primary key is gonna be sequence ID. Let's also add something. No, it doesn't really matter. Okay, great. So sequence is just going to be used in order to make sure that something is getting inserted and I receive back a last insert ID, so I can test this functionality itself, because I don't want to affect any other tables. Okay. Inside not null, primary key. Let's run this setup fixture. So setup fixtures, basically I'm gonna rationalize database, and inside of this database there's gonna be this fixture file loaded. Okay, so everything is done there, and now I basically can go on and start implementing the test case, because now I know in which table I want to insert the data. So it executes prepared command statement. So basically first thing that I need to do, right? Actually, I forgot to specify a database name, right? Let's see. What is my database name here? Catalog. Okay, so there's two tables, one catalog, one is another catalog. Great. So in the connection URL, I actually forgot to specify it here. I think it should be something like that. Okay, let's see. Does it run? Does it still connect? Okay, if it connects, that's great. Then I can execute connect to the database and get state, await on it. Let the stuff, then we're gonna process a command, and the command I'm gonna process is gonna be prepare. So I'm gonna prepare insert into the table that I've created, right? So this is gonna be a table called some sequence. And here I'm gonna say sequence ID, and then I'm gonna specify values, and in values there's gonna be a single value specified there, as a part of the prepared statement. Okay, great. This seems like a valid command. Then I'm gonna await on receiving the connection. So I need to connect first, of course, to the database. Basically, this process command, it's gonna be used in another struct itself, because process command is just a function that gets invoked on every single command that is received for a connection. There is actually a connection stream that receives streams of commands, and then it processes on every single command. It processes, here is the command processor, and on every single command it just processes a command, supplies it a state, and then receives back a processor, and after the processor is finished, it modifies the state back to some value. And there is a bunch of stuff happening here in this part of the system. So let's go on and modify MySQL here. This is the MySQL processor, so it's going to process those commands by using async MySQL library. And right now I just processed the command to prepare a statement. So as a result, I receive back an event that actually I will actually need an event, because I need to access the statement ID and the state itself. And I'm gonna await on this one. So I receive back event and a state, and from the event, what I want to do, I want to make sure that I receive the valid one. So I want to know what is the statement ID is. Statement ID equals a match of event. Yeah, because I need to pattern match an event because it's an enum. And here I can specify that event prepared statement ID matters for me, but parameter count doesn't really matter. And unfortunately, I can't just ignore it. I have to specify it here, and here I'm gonna return back the statement ID. And here, if I receive anything else that doesn't match this pattern, right, I'm gonna just panic. So I'm gonna create here unreachable macro statement and say it should succeed with statement. So any other enum variations should not be possible to receive by processing this specific command. And now I'm just gonna assert, and now then I'm gonna run another process command call, and this time I'm gonna create a command called execute, and here I'm gonna specify the statement ID, and I'm gonna specify a vector of values. So it's gonna be a value from messages, and it's gonna be null. So I'm gonna just specify a single value for our prepared statement. Okay, does it work? Okay, great. And then process command execute the statement value null while it complains. This function takes to, oh yeah, I forgot to specify the second argument, and the second argument is going to be the state that we received prior. when we executed this prepare statement. And then we want to verify that event actually I can just do let event equal to process command with the state, and I'm gonna wait on it, and I'm gonna return back this first part of the tuple itself, and yeah, that's basically what I need to verify. And now I can create a third statement for matches of event, and what I'm gonna verify that the event is actually gonna be command. Oh, sorry. Event gonna be event. Then it should be command, and then it should contain the last insert ID and affected rows, and or probably I can just do something like that, maybe. Yeah, probably I can just pattern match again, because then it's gonna be a much better from readability perspective than just doing this thing. So let's do event. Yeah, so last insert ID should be part of this let, and another one is going to be what it is, affected rows. Yeah, match, and we're gonna match against an event, and this event is gonna have a pattern match on event command. That's gonna be using last insert ID, and basically here we're gonna use last insert ID unwrap, or take, or unwrap, probably unwrap. Yeah, just unwrap, and then we're just gonna specify a bunch of other stuff, specifically the affected rows. So affected rows are always available, and yeah, now it tells that not all arms of match expression are actually matched, but I don't care for a test. So here I'm just gonna specify that this one again is unreachable, and then I'm just gonna assert that assert equals probably is the best one, yeah, for last insert ID, that, or can I actually do assert? I probably have just to specify that last insert ID is actually more than 0, so yeah, it should be more than 0 definitely if it's often incremented. And then I need to specify that number of affected rows. This one actually I can specify that it should be 1, because if I insert a new record, the affected rows should be equal to this new record, right? Or maybe I'm wrong and it will fail completely when I implement it, but we will see. Okay, so it's panicking because the functionality is not implemented in the processor, but in general it's good because it means that all of the stuff compiles. And the biggest problem for me personally as a Rust beginner is actually to make sure that my code compiles. Like, this is the hardest part in developing a Rust program. And then I'm gonna specify here that executing statement. All right, so statement ID we're gonna receive, and we're gonna receive parameters, right? And that's basically what we're gonna do, right? And what happens next? Okay, so I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm right away gonna create an async function, and I'm gonna use execute statement. This statement ID, params, and connection. Yeah, I forgot to specify connection here in the connection state. So copy pasting the previous stuff. It's always rewarding to copy paste your code. Okay, let's do stuff here and see. So execute statement, yeah, this doesn't yet exist, this function, so I'm just gonna create it. And I already have the prepare statement. I'm just gonna copy this one as a definition, because the return types are gonna be absolutely the same. The only thing that arguments are gonna be a little bit different, but that's not a big of a deal. And here I think it should be like an argument statement ID, params, and connection. And then params, it should be a vector of value, right? Let's format this one so it's a little bit easier to understand what's happening here. Okay, what it tells me that value name prepare. Yeah, it's not prepare statement, it's execute statement, right? So the execute statement is receiving all the required values, and let's just create here unimplemented panic, so it doesn't do anything. Okay, the test is red, so it tells me that yeah, the code is actually not implemented. So now I can go on and basically implement it. So I can take connection, inner, and then I can do execute iter, right? And here I'm just gonna yeah, so is iterable executor, does it require mutable? Yeah, it requires mutable self, so it's good I specified connection as a mutable here. And also I need to specify statement, and for that one I need to access a statement cache, and I need to retrieve the value with the statement ID, and I'm just directly gonna unwrap it for now. Why? Okay, so it requires to have something like that. Okay, great. That should be fine. And here an exec iter, what it requires it requires statement, and it also requires params, and params are just gonna be a vector with a single value. Yeah, I'm just gonna fake it for now, and I'm gonna just specify here my SQL value. Yeah, so let's also import that one here. I think it's value, and we'll import it as MySQL value because we also have a value enum ourselves that we use in our events. So okay, great. Here, where is the method? Okay, and here I'm just gonna specify my SQL value null. Great. And here, what we're gonna do, and what we receive here, we basically receive a query result, right? And what if we just exec something? What do we receive? Ah, okay, so we receive back a vector of resolved stuff. Yeah, I don't want to do vector. I want to just resolve in a durable. And now let's go on and do stuff here, and let's await on a result. So let result equal to this one, and what kind of methods we have on the result. Oh yeah, so it could be also we actually have to unwrap it as well. So now we can actually call something like last insert ID and affected rows. So this is basically what we need to return back, and this is what we're gonna do. So we're just gonna return back here a tuple of event. Do I have command as an event? No, probably I don't. So let's create one in messages. So I have for execute, I have for prepare, for a command, but yeah, I don't have yet one for, yeah, I don't have yet a factory for command. And the last insert ID should be option U64. And here, and affected rows should be just U64 as well. Great, and it just should return itself. So let's go on and create a variation here. So it's going to be command. We're going to specify last insert ID, and we're going to specify affected rows. And that's basically it. Our factory is ready, and we don't need to do any transformation. So now I can go back into here, and I can specify that, yeah, event of the executed command on MySQL side is gonna result in result last insert ID and result that affected rows. So this is quite good. Let's keep it on one line, and then we need to specify also a state, and state is going to be connection state connected. So we're still going to return back a connected state with a connection. So the tests can continue, and it's compiling, and it's green. So the test has been executed correctly, and yeah, nothing more to do here. But as you see, I still go through a very optimistic path. I also do a bunch of stuff here that is not how I usually would do it. Like, I assume that the query result is automatically just by default working pretty well. So yeah, let's sip a little bit of coffee and continue doing stuff. And feel free to ask any questions in the chat if you have one. So let's see. And yeah, let's go over it. Let's start with another test case, right? So we need to write a test case for it executes prepare statement for appending a new record, and now I basically just want to create some kind of an execution operation where there are gonna be no last insert ID. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna write another async test, and I'm gonna test that it executes prepared statement where there is no last insert ID. Okay, great. And what we're gonna do here, we just gonna do the same basically thing. So the great success of doing the great success of doing all those prepared statements. Probably I can just simplify it a little bit, right? So can I just do a small trick here? I think so. I can improve a little bit the test cases, and I can just create a function that will do this stuff for me. So it's going to be an async function, and what this function will do, it will prepare statement for me, and it's going to receive query as a request, and it's going to be, oh yeah, the query can be any kind of value that can be referenced as string. So we're just going to specify it here as ref str, And yeah, here I'm gonna specify it like that. And the return type is gonna be connection state, static lifetime, together with AU6 or 32. I think it's 32, right? Let's check a few steps earlier. Yes, statement ID is U32. Okay, great. And then it's basically gonna do this, all of this stuff, except that instead of the hard-coded query here, it's just gonna use query supplied as an argument. So that's good. And it will return back statement ID and state, right? So that's basically it. And here we can just remove all these things. Let statement ID and state be equal to prepare statement, and let's copy paste the query, and let's remove this code. So now we have much more simpler test case, so it's much more easier to understand what's happening here. So then we process a command execute. Okay, so execute command should call this one. Great, so should be good enough. Let's see. Okay, it fails to compile because I didn't await on the result. Yeah, so I need to await on the result. Okay, I'm running test case here, so seems good. I'm pretty happy with the result here, and now I probably can do other stuff as well. We see here that last insert didn't affected the rows. Those match an event, and yeah, that should be okay. So now I can just use this methodology to use statement ID and state from prepared statement. What kind of a query I'm gonna use? Yeah, so I'm gonna wait on it. Okay. The query that I'm gonna write is gonna remove some data from some table, right? Or maybe I can just change some values, or just set a variable. Maybe just set a variable, set custom variable to some value, right? And here I'm gonna specify that the statement is getting executed, so we're gonna run this command execute with parameters, and as a value we're gonna set some value like let's specify some bytes, right? Do I need to use a vector here? Is it a good idea or not? Maybe a vector is not the best one. But let's see what actually happens in MySQL library itself. Let's take a look at the MySQL value trait. Oh yeah, here the bytes is actually unsigned 8. Yeah, so I did a mistake over there in messages. Yeah, it can be a vector of 4-byte values. Okay, so let's specify u8. So bytes should be something like that, and float double datetime and so on. Okay, great. Should be not a big of a deal. And let's continue. Executes prepare statement where there is no last insert ID, and from the bytes we're just gonna use I think binary indicator, right? So can we just transform it into bytes? Okay, great. And yeah, so here I just can do a lot of stuff. So yeah, here I can just specify a value, and let's say custom variable, the value is going to be something like that. Value with a exclamation point. So that should result in some successful execution. So now question, like, yeah, I probably do want to receive back some event, and I want to pattern match it as well. So I probably want to create also an async function for execute a statement, right? And here I'm gonna specify statement ID as u32 and state as connection state, which doesn't matter much, right, as an input. Or probably we can just specify a connection, right? Not really. Probably the state is the best one. And it will return back what it's gonna return us. It's gonna return us a tuple of last insert ID and affected rows, or not really. Probably, yes, the test is a little bit clunky here. need to specify params with vector of values. So something like that. Params state, and here we're gonna return back basically the extracted values. So it's gonna be option U64, and it's gonna be U64 number of affected rows, and it's gonna be a connection state with static lifetime. Okay, great. So it should be fine here, right? So can we do something here? Yeah. So I'm gonna take this one here to process an event command to receive the event. I'm just gonna copy paste this stuff. Oh, not here, but here. And then basically, yeah, we received a state, we received an event. I probably still want to have an access to state afterwards, right? If I want to execute the statement multiple times, right? So basically, yeah, I wanted to receive both. And here I'm gonna specify params as an argument. And I'm gonna not use unwrap here. I'm gonna return back last insert ID, affected rows, and a state, right? So it should be it. Can we just then use anonymous state definition? I hope so. So let's replace this logic here as well then. So I'm gonna replace it with executed statement, statement ID, vector of value null, right? And here is gonna be state connection state. So it's gonna be a state that we received from previous one, right? And we're gonna wait on it, and we're gonna say that, yeah, last insert ID, then affected rows and state. Yeah, I don't care about state after this method execution. And here I'm not gonna assert that insert ID is more than 0. I'm just gonna assert that last insert ID is sum. So it just should return true if there is some value available for insert ID and the number of affected rows is actually 1. Okay, great. Then here, I don't know, does it return affected rows for modified variable or not, but I suspect it should. So I'll just gonna modify it there. Yeah, let's run a test to see if it still compiles. Yeah, it doesn't compile. Help, there is an associated function with a similar name to vector. Okay. By its value, where it is. To vector. Okay, great. No, I didn't want to debug, but that's probably fine. Okay, so the test is green, so the previous test didn't fail. But the current test is actually not testing anything valuable, right? So I'm just gonna copy this stuff, and I'm gonna just move this vector definition here. And that's probably should be it. So there is a newcomer in the chat. Hey Damien, web dev. Nice to see you here. So what I'm doing here now, I'm completely stuck. I forgot what I was doing, was so agitated by someone appearing in the chat. Okay, I actually wanted to remove this line because I completely don't need it anymore, and I can just assert that something is having some values. So basically a last insert ID in this case should be is none. Actually, I just can specify that last insert ID is actually equals to none, so it should be fine. And another thing that I'm gonna specify here is that assert equals affected rows. I'm not sure if it's gonna be 1 or not, but we can try. So I'm gonna specify that assert equals 1. Let's see. Does it pass a test? No, it doesn't, because it's 0, but it's good because the test is actually working, right? But that's probably a problem because I actually don't test if actually the value of this variable is set. So what I'm gonna do, oh yeah, it should be affected rows equal to 0. Great. So let's modify it. Okay, so it still fails. This is interesting. Oh, because I probably didn't rerun it. Oh yeah, so now it's recompiled, and now all tests are passing and are green. So what can we do now? Now we can write another test case, right? So test case after a test case, and with the small steps we're just writing better software. So let's do it. Let's create it executes command as a regular query, and here I'm gonna do some stuff related to actually verifying that the value is set. So basically this is a copy paste of some value, so I'm just gonna specify another and executes query result is a regular query. Okay. And what I'm gonna do here, so this one actually doesn't really matter much, so I don't care about the event here, but I'm caring about the state. So the state I really need after executing this command, right? Oh, yeah, something like that. Great. And what do we do here? We execute a statement, then we await on it, and now I'm actually gonna do some another query. So we will do it executes prepared statement with result. So we added some data here, right? And now we're gonna run some prepared statement where we're gonna run a select that will return us back this another variable. So another variable, and also it's gonna give us back the values that we're gonna supply to it. So it's gonna be something plus something, and also we're gonna specify something multiplied by something. So it should be a good way to verify that some values gets provided properly over there. And then we can just run let event state execute a statement. Yeah, execute statement. And here we're gonna specify it as a header event, right? And we're gonna execute the statement ID. So yeah, here we consume the statement ID, so we can redefine it again. Now here we specify again state, right? And params first. So we need to specify params, and we have 4 params there. So the first one is going to be value. Let's specify unsigned int. Let's do it 12, and let's also do value float of 0.24, something like that. Okay, and here let's make it on line. Each of the values are going to be on line, so we're going to multiply actually 12 by this value. Yeah, let's make it something more interesting. So let's multiply it by half, so it means it's going to be 6 in the end as a result. And value, what kind of values are gonna be there? Oh yeah, so also specify variable. Here we're gonna specify as sum, and here we're gonna specify as multiply, and the 12 by half is gonna be 6, and then we're gonna have as well something. Oh, actually I was supposed to have it as a multiplication, so here we're gonna actually add something. So we're gonna add two integers, yeah. Unsigned int. And we have also just regular int as well. Okay, so let's do unsigned int, and we can specify here something like, yeah, let's do 2 plus 2, and we also another value will specify as a regular int. So yeah, great. Then we have all the parameters, we have everything specified here. Now we can execute. Actually, now we can process command again. Or do we process a command in this case? Yeah, it's an interesting question. Right, because if we have a connection state that's not something like a command, like if the connection state is not connected, right, we need to continuously continue to do stuff. And here actually I run into a problem, because I probably need a command no op, right? So for that specific reason, because here, for instance, when we look into this loop, yeah, it returns back an event with specific connection state. Okay. And probably here I need to specify something with this feature to be returned over there. Yeah, it doesn't look very nice, so let's see. Probably we need to introduce some kind of no-op command. I don't like it, but I have to, because otherwise I can't really rely on it properly. So basically we just need to create a command called none. And what is, I think, even more important, that we somehow need to specify that specific thing somewhere here. Yeah. is bad. Okay. Yeah, we need somehow to tell that, yeah, we still have to process the result set. And we need to send those events separately, one after each other. So, yeah, this is interesting. It is a very interesting problem to solve. And the issue is here that I basically don't want to really establish a real connection here, but probably I have to. So I basically, yeah, we're gonna run a test case. Yeah, it's gonna fail. Let's see here. Where did I mess up with this method? Yeah. Expected found a tuple. Yeah, because not awaited on a result here against something. Found one with two. Okay. Oh yeah, because here is actually a different operation. Yeah, it should be a process command, and it should be a command execute, and then bunch of values provided here, and a state. Okay, great. So now it should compile. Not really. And oh yeah, because I don't care about the affected values. And last increment ID. Okay, so now it compiles. Great. Statement with a result. It fails because there is an error, and an error required force applied 1. Okay. This is interesting. Oh yeah. I know why. Yeah, because I didn't do the proper job there yet with implementation of all of the transformation of the values. But what's important, yeah, I just want to fetch the data. Shall it be a fetch result or no? Or just should be a command? will fetch the data? That's an interesting actually question. Like, do I bombard with the result set back or not? Or just communicate with the system? Probably no. Like, I just want to receive the result set, result end, and result row every single time. So yeah, it just should be very simple. So it should be result set with a vector of columns and result set with the rows. And yeah, this is a little bit interesting. Probably it's even should be not a none, but it should be fetch. So it just should fetch a row. However, it's not going to be public command, it's just going to be internal one that's going to be passed from this connection stream. Okay, in messages, I'm going to specify super FM function result set, and here we're going to specify self like that, and result set is going to receive vector of columns, right? So if we receive result sets, then we start a special case. It should be a vector and with such type bound, and here specify just columns, and we just create self result set columns. So it should be a self result set. So self result set columns, and yeah. That's enough. And also I want to create result row, as well as row is going to be a vector of values, and here gonna be result row with a row of values. Great, and as well as result end. We're just gonna return a result end. And I don't think I really need to specify here something like that. Where is the closed is used? Do I verify anywhere that event? Yeah, let's check by quickly running some tests and seeing if it still compiles. Okay, it still compiles. So removing parentheses didn't affect at all, but probably if I create a closed event, it will fail to compile, right? So here is a result set, result row, and result end. And yeah, this is basically what we're gonna have as a special case. And now I need to write a test case that will actually cover this functionality. So we're gonna create an async test, and we specify that it that it does something. So it what it does. It probably executes some query, and we also will have a custom processor for that one as well. So yeah, let's copy all this stuff. It automatically fetches result set and yeah, here the command that I'm gonna send there is gonna be, let's say, query with some value like select or whatever, we don't care. So let's say select one, and here it's gonna be close. Okay, and our processor is gonna be a function that we're gonna define here. We'll call it fake result set processor, right? And it's gonna return, yeah, it's gonna be an async function that's gonna receive as an argument the command, and it's gonna receive a state as connection state with anonymous lifetime, and it's gonna return back an event and connection state with, again, anonymous lifetime, probably, right? So do we care about the return type? Not really, so should be fine. Great. So fake result set processor seems like a valid function to invoke. So we execute some query, and then we execute a close command. So what should happen? Basically, it should execute a few times something, right? So can we do real, like, immutable function deduction or something like that? Probably not really. So can we play around with the connection state? What we have here, we have non-closed binary result and text result. Yeah, unfortunately I can't do anything with the connection, so this is kind of bad. Yeah, what if I just want to create this connection, but I don't want to actually use a real one? Is there any fake connection or something like that? Like connection inner. Okay. I can create an empty connection. Right? Connection inner or not. So MySQL connection. Do we have some factory methods here in order to establish a connection without actually running a connection? So let's see. So if I want to just create connections that will never resolve, is it possible or not really? Yeah, impossible. Okay. How long we already streaming? 1.5 hours. Yeah, I think I'm already a little bit tired for today. So let's see. Let's just fix this parse error. Any connection here. Let's just specify unimplemented. And that's basically. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna specify here connection collect. Wait. Right, I think I can collect everything into the vector. So I'm just gonna pass it here. And then I'm just gonna specify a vector of values, and I'm gonna specify event result set. And yeah, here I'm gonna specify as 1, and here the result set is gonna be something like yeah, let's specify just automatically fetches, yeah, automatically fetches result set. The only problem here, I can't find same modification, but I think we can play around with closed and non-state. Oh, actually, I can just implement it right now. Let's see. So it's gonna be a vector of columns, and it's just gonna be column from my library. So it's gonna be column Okay. I need to create an implementation for this column, right? So I need to create an implementation for column, and here I'm gonna create pub create level visibility function. New with name of the column. That's gonna be, probably I can specify here arithmetic type conversion sref str string, oh, this type, and then the type hint. So it's gonna be a type hint, yeah, type hint. There's gonna be a type hint. Okay, great. And it's gonna return back an instance of self. So self, and here we're gonna specify a name with, yeah, can I just specify a name like that? Does it gonna work? Probably not really, or it's gonna work. So it automatically converts TS reference str into actual string value. At least my IDE doesn't complain about, probably the real one I'm gonna complain about it. So let's do this, new, let's call it 1, and the value of it is gonna be type hint int. Okay, so it should be great. And the second one is going to be event result row, right? And the result row is going to be oh, what's up here? Oh, yeah, missing thing. Okay, so result set. Here's gonna be result row, and here it's gonna be value. Import. Is value not available? No, it should be. Okay, it should be an integer value. Okay. So it should be int 1. So let's see. Okay, it tells me that font expected. Okay. So it didn't work as actually expected. So I need to specify here name and then name into. Let's see if it's gonna work. Yeah, it's not. So I need to specify string from what? That's funny. Ooh. Yeah. I think I know what's the problem. Where is the value that I was using in my test case that I was not supposed to use? Yeah, it should be here, value. Okay. Great. Does it compile now? No, because this string from doesn't match stuff that I want to create. So okay. Oh yeah, because it should be as ref. Yeah, hooray, it works. It executes prepared statement with result. Okay, great. At least it compiles. And if I try to execute this test, it should probably fail. Yeah, it automatically fetches result set. It's okay. Let's see what we have here. So there's plenty of stuff modified. So let's git reset, git status, git add fixture, and git commit, add sequence table to test statement execution with add sequence table to test statement execution with last insert ID. Okay, git status. Oh yeah, I need to pull changes actually. Okay, git status. Let's see. We have src leap connection. Git add src leap connection and add src leap messages because I was doing some modifications over there, and I'm gonna do git add and git commit with a message that added yeah, or yeah, working on support of result set fetching in connection stream. Great. And git status, what else do we have? Yeah, and add src leap MySQL. Git status. Let's see. The diff cached value. Yes, great. Okay, so this is a prepared statements test. Implement unprepared statement execution for commands git push, and yeah, I need to pull first, and now let's git push, and basically I'm done. So for today, that's all for stream. Thanks everyone who joined the stream and followed me along on my code modifications. See you next time.